Dr. Janet Smith spent her career defending the Church's most contested teachings. She was denied tenure at Notre Dame for writing a book on contraception, founded the Women's Care Center Network, and served as a Vatican consultor. For decades, she was the go-to voice for orthodox Catholic sexual ethics. But for most of those decades, she was miserable at Mass. "I was largely appalled at the liturgy," she admits. "For most of my adult life, I really felt it was a kind of torture, especially with the music and then various showboating and different things that would go on at the Mass." Smith had a reason for avoiding the traditional Latin Mass that surprised even her. It wasn't availability, it was reputation. "I was already too far to the right in everything in the Church," she explains, "and if I wanted any kind of an audience, if I got to be known as a rad trad, I would definitely be even more marginalized than I was." So she stayed away. She avoided reading books by Michael Davies or Archbishop Lefebvre. "I didn't want to look at it for fear that I'd be convinced." Then God tricked her. 3 years ago, through a series of circumstances she doesn't fully explain, Smith found herself at several Latin Masses in a row. Her reaction was immediate and overwhelming. "I just felt like I'd discovered a piece of heaven," she says. "I couldn't go early enough, I couldn't stay long enough." One Sunday, she arrived at a church where the Latin Mass was already half over. She stayed for the rest, remained through the intervening time to pray, then attended the next Mass. Both were at least 90 minutes long, with an hour in between. She felt it was one of the most marvelous spiritual moments in my life. When she started calling old friends to share her discovery, she found they had already made it themselves. "We have been too," they told her. One friend now has access to the TLM every day. Another discovered it on a retreat. Smith was stunned. What struck her most wasn't the ritual, it was the people, the youthfulness and the young families. "I sit there and every Sunday I just grin from ear to ear just looking at one family after another trot up there with all those kids. It gives me just quite, almost a levitating joy." She watches the altar boys, the little altar boys who are so profoundly happy to be there, and hears parents say their boys won't get up for anything early except Latin Mass. Families tell her that the first time their children encounter it, that's what they want. What is that all about, she wonders? What makes your kids able to resonate to this anyway? Now, before Mass, Smith finds herself quite immediately plunged into the joys of silence. She experiences profounder contrition for her sins, greater concern for her soul and others. The chant banishes anxiety, distracting thoughts virtually disappear. She's filled 2 bookshelves with liturgy books, which was never anything I paid any attention to. "My experience at the TLM yesterday was extraordinary. I seem to occupy a deeper place of prayer and adoration the more I attend." Smith's story carries weight precisely because she's not a typical traditionalist convert. She spent decades defending the Church's teachings on contraception, marriage, and sexual ethics, subjects where the Church faces constant external opposition. But the liturgy is different. The wounds there are internal. And for Smith, the traditional Latin Mass provided what the Novus Ordo couldn't: silence, reverence, and a spiritual depth that finally matched what she had been defending all along. "I think I am just beginning to experience what the traditional Latin Mass offers," she reflects. After a lifetime of defending the faith against the culture, she discovered that the culture of the Church itself, when stripped of distraction and showboating, had depths she never knew existed. The woman who taught the world why contraception hurts marriages now testifies to something simpler, a liturgy that lets her sit in silence, watch young families fill the pews, and finally feel at home at Mass.